we have 10 weapons in the endgame of Black Myth Wukong. They come with very interesting effects and unique abilities, but not all of them are built equally. That's why today I'm going to attempt to rank them from worst all the way to best, including of course the ones that you get in the secret ending as well as in New Game Plus. So without further ado, let's jump right in. At number 10, as much as it pains me to put it here, we have the Visionary Centipede Staff, which you get by completing Chapter 4. Now, this does come with 90 into attack and 10% critical hit chance, which is what's making this a little bit more desirable, because its unique effect, unfortunately, is quite gimped because of the way poison buildup works on enemies. So this is going to power up your healing if you perform charged up heavy attacks. The more focus points you have, the better that healing is going to be if the enemy is also in a poisoned state. Unfortunately, especially against bosses, poison state barely even lasts for more than a few seconds, and it's also very difficult to apply, so you do need either the Violet Hail transformation or even more so any of the spirits, but even then, that's not going to be a constant uptime. So realistically, you only benefit of this about twice in a single combat scenario. Plus, that massive healing enhancement isn't even that big, especially once you reach 6, 7, or 800 plus HP. It's barely going to be noticeable compared to a normal charged heavy. Now, we do have a slightly earlier alternative via the Spider Celestial Staff at rank 9. This is given to you once you defeat the Violet Spider boss in Chapter 4. Its attack is slightly lower at 85, but the critical hit chance is better at 12%. However, I find that its unique effect is a lot more reliable, specifically because you're going to poison enemies if you perform heavy attacks with focus points, assuming that you yourself are also poisoned. So I found that this is a lot more reliable because there are soaks in the game, specifically the Death Stinger, that can constantly keep you under the poison effect. Plus, of course, we have the Centipede armor set to reduce some of that damage upon you, so you can more reliably apply the poison state on your enemy boss. In this case, it works if the boss doesn't have much resistance to poison. If it does, it's probably not going to be enough, and you're going to oftentimes see it being like 3/4 filled, but not enough to actually pull it off. So you, again, either have to use transformations or summons, which it's not going to always be available. That is why this is only dropping at spot 9. And the reason why I'm saying that these feel a bit of a waste is because it doesn't take too long until you can jump into Chapter 5, go to the Bishui Beast Cave, and just unlock that legendary over there. This is going to have a much better attack at 105 and a critical hit chance just the same at 10%. So this can be a better option at that stage as you do lead into Chapter 5. It doesn't really have any unique effects. Its sole purpose is to provide you stats, damage, until you get some other better options. Assuming that you can jump in the Bishui Cave and finish it off successfully, but you should, and there are videos on the channel covering that. That is why the Bishui Beast Staff is going to drop at number 8. Now at number 7, this is where it becomes a lot more interesting. I'm going to show you how to get the next one in just a bit, but we do have the Staff of the Blazing Karma. You can actually get this a bit earlier actually than the previous weapon. So this comes with a very interesting effect. First of all, its attack is not bad. It comes at 100. You also get some extra defense, some burn resistance, which is very useful in this area. However, its unique effect is very good. So charged heavy attacks in smash stance that cost over 3 focus points inflict burning lava effect on the ground. So this is literally a much better upgraded version of the Centipede Staff because you can pull off that lava fire effect at any point once you get 3 focus points. So you don't have to be much higher than that. Once you hit 3 focus points, you're always going to cause the lava effect to happen. And burn over time effect is very good in this game. There are many bosses that suffer from it. Once you set an enemy on fire, it also gets damage over time, which helps a ton with the DPS that you unleash. There are, however, a couple of downsides. One of them is that fire effect lingering on the ground isn't really that big. It literally just spawns at the point of impact, meaning that oftentimes as you smash enemies, they are going to be thrown back, so they pretty much completely avoid the fire. But if you do manage to pin them against the corner, it can actually stack up really nicely. And the second drawback is the fact that many enemies can just extinguish the flames very fast. I was surprised to see that a lot of them will start doing things that will just make the fire extinguish, like for example the wolf boss in Chapter 1. Now, to both unlock the recipe as well as the crafting mats needed to craft it, you're going to need to progress towards a slope near the Bishui cave. It's going to be its secondary adjacent route, so start at the furnace crater right here in the field of fire, and once you have defeated the final boss in the area, just backtrack and go to a previously engulfed in fire location. It's going to be a bit further back, so just follow my route, and once you reach here, you're going to notice that the path on the left side is now opened. As soon as you drop into the area, the first Vanguard boss is going to be right in front of you, so this is the one that you have to defeat to unlock both the Staff of Blazing Karma recipe and the first Samadhi Fire Crystal of the 3 that you need to craft it. The second boss you need to defeat in the area is the Mother of Flamings, which is just a bit further down the slope. You're going to see this pool with a summonable interaction, but at first you will need to find 4 flame orbs. And luckily you find a lot of flamings nearby spawning on the way over there, so just defeat them until you get 4 of those flaming orbs. With them you can go ahead and summon the Mother, defeat it, and this is going to give you another one of those crystals. The third and final boss you need to defeat is the Flint Chief, which you will find right here at the Valley Furnace. You will just have to follow the path normally as you did back when doing the main story mission towards the palace, but you're going to go all the way before the duo boss we had in the area. And around the middle section of the upper hill, you're going to notice this flaming spawning right here on the side, and right behind it you can jump down into the lava field. This is where that Flint boss is going to spawn. Go ahead, defeat it, and this is going to give you the final third Samadhi Fire Crystal. And with that, you can now craft the weapon. It's yours, and again, very fun. Plus, in New Game Plus, it's going to have an upgrade from it, which is also one of the strongest weapons in the full game. This brings us to the 6th spot, which goes to the golden long staff that you get from the 4 long bosses questline. As we covered it before, this is technically a mid to late game sort of staff, but nonetheless it's still going to warrant its spot right here. It only comes with about 108 into attack, but it also comes with that dragon effect. It deals thunder when you perform 3 or 4 focus point hits, so this works really well with the pillar stance. Pillar stance is also strong with the sweeping gale, so if you use that, this can give you a ton of DPS at the stage you're currently in. There are much better options later down the line. This is the only reason why this staff isn't being ranked higher, but there's really no fault to it, no downsides. It's just a very strong overall option to have up until you start reaching the end game, New Game Plus, or the secret ending. Now at spots 4 and 5 we kind of have a small tie-in, and they might be even interchangeable depending how far you reach in the New Game Plus cycle, because if you reach New Game Plus 4, then the next one, which is currently only at rank 5, will probably jump all the way up, maybe even to rank 3. But at spot 5 we have the Jingu Bang, and there are a few reasons why I'm giving it only spot 5. Well, first of all, it's an amazing weapon all around, so you really can't go wrong with it. 135 attack, 6% critical hit chance, which you really need. Also the fact that you don't have a decay on the 4th focus point gauge is really strong, and you also have the Heavens Equal bonuses with, of course, your Heavens Equal armor set, so you do have all of the benefits over there. You can cast spells more often as you perform critical hits, and as you perform critical hits you can then spam your abilities a lot more often. But the reason I'm not putting this higher is just because some of the other weapons have really cool styles, additional ways to deal damage, or just plain and simple that 4th gauge decay is not such a big of a drawback even if you do go with some of the other options, especially since you can easily generate focus anyway by the time you reach the end game. This is just pure convenience. But overall, anything that's spot 5 and above are all going to be extremely strong. And I'm saying this is only spot 5 now because apparently once you reach New Game Plus 4, you're then going to unlock its 4th stance, the one that's only available in chapter 6. Now it's going to be available in all the chapters at all times. So this is when it's probably going to jump a few spots, just because the 4-point focus attacks with that stance are that strong. But until then, most people will not reach that. That is why it's only placing at rank 5. This brings us to the 4th spot, and look, I might be biased, but I really like the Tri-Point Spear. It's a direct upgrade to the Chubai Spear. I love the moveset, it's very strong, works really great with the thrust stance, and you have a lot of jumping in and out of harm's way with it, to the point that it might make a lot of the boss encounters that are otherwise difficult a lot more easy. It has the same attack and critical hit chance as the Jingu Bang, except that it also has an additional source of damage via the Forceful Thrust, this is going to shoot all of those swords into the enemy, which can actually stack up to quite some significant damage. That is why it's getting that slight edge, but only until and if you play into New Game Plus 4. From that point on, we have the New Game Plus weapons, and after doing some more testing, I was so surprised by how differently they stack up compared to how I said yesterday. So let me give you a few reasons why. First of all, at the third spot, I'm going to have to put the Stormflash Longstaff. Now this has an incredible attack at 140, which is like the highest in the game by default on the item card. Also one of the highest critical hit chances by 9%. And of course, you draw thunder when you charge up your weapon. So once you hit 2 focus points, you're going to charge up your body with thunder, and then every time you attack an enemy, you're going to cause shock state against it. And as you may or may not know, shock state, putting enemies in that debuff, is going to increase your damage against them drastically. Pretty much every boss in the game has a weakness to it, maybe with a few exceptions. And this is what makes it so exceptional. It's just that bonus by default that's really high, plus of course the shock state that just couples in very well, and it also works with the long battle robe armor set that further buffs up your shock damage. There are many sources to buff up shock damage. This is why this is going to be very high up in terms of the DPS potential. But not the highest of them all, because despite of the higher base stats, there are different ones that have unique functionalities that just put them ahead. That's why at the second spot we have the Adapt Spine Shooting Fuban Staff. Now this only comes with 120 into attack, but it has by far the highest critical hit chance by 25%. However, its unique effect of shooting spines 360 degrees from the point of impact is what truly puts it ahead. So the more focus points you use, especially up to 4, the more of those spikes are going to cause to emerge. And yes, that absolutely still hits even the boss you just hit or the enemy, as they are pretty much at the point of impact. The point that this can make up to a third of your actual damage. On 3000 plus hits with this weapon, I was able to see like 5, 6, even 700 plus damage extra just from the spikes. And keep in mind that you have the highest critical hit chance, so you can really stack that high up to further increase the damage more than anything else in the game, assuming that you have the items for it. Plus you get the healing, so overall it's one of the highest damages. Plus you can also use the Unified Mind and pretty much get all of your clones to do the exact same thing. Pull it off with like 12 clones and you're pretty much going to destroy anything in the game. And this, ladies and gents, brings us to the true #1 spot, which goes to the Dark Iron Staff. Yes, it may come as a surprise to you as it did to me when I did the testing, but this is literally double damage compared to anything else. Assuming that you use this with the bull armor you get from the B3 cave. It only has 110 into attack, but if you have at least 450 plus into defense, which you should with the bull armor and like at least 80 levels, this is going to double that damage to 220 plus, meaning that it's much better than any critical hit chance or critical damage, as you get pure extra damage from it. Plus, of course, the bull armor also gains extra defense as you get hit, and you can easily generate focus points from it. That is why that's the best build in the game, using the best weapon, dealing the highest amount of damage, and that is before you even get buffed. Add in the Spellbinder, some extra crit, damage, or any of those, and you're pretty much going to one-shot any target, especially again with the Connected Mind bonus that you get from the 6th relic. And that pretty much concludes today's video with the best weapons. Of course, let me know down below which one of them are your favorite. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, a sub to the channel would be amazing, and I'll see you in the next video.